Hello there. This is Romances in the Cards. Happy Valentine's Day. We're going to
You
talk.
too.
You too. We're going to talk about how to use tarot cards for questions of love and romance. Now, everybody, of course, has questions of love and romance. Might have one more person. Nope, one on the other side. That's the big question when people go to fortune tellers. Is there a tall, dark stranger in my future? Or a short, blonde stranger, as the case may be? Well, today we're going to talk about how to use these cards for love. Now, if you don't have any tarot cards, don't worry. I'm going to introduce you to what they are and how they work. You get a chance to look at some of them, and then you'll be a little better informed in case you decide to get a deck for yourself. So, see if this works. Yes! Now, love, that's the big question. Today, you'll see a lot of different pictures. They're all from tarot cards. You may think that makes it pretty confusing. Why don't they all have the same pictures, just like a playing card deck? It's because tarot is basically a concept. It's a series of ideas, and different artists use different things to show those ideas. Half the deck is just like a playing card deck. It has 4 suits, 1 through 10, has face cards. The other half of the deck are these concepts, like lovers, travel, transformation, things like that. And different artists will express them in different ways. So, today we're going to talk about love. Now, modern tarot decks have pictures on every single card. They don't just have like 4 symbols on it. That helps with getting the meanings straight. Now, this one on the left, you can see that's some kind of a thief, some kind of a sneak. So that 7 of Swords cards means something sneaky's going on, or somebody's stealing something. Watch your stuff, or be surreptitious in whatever you're doing. Gives you an idea of the concept. The one on the right, the 5 of Cups, you can see this person is pretty dejected. They're only focusing on the cups that have been tipped over, but not paying attention to the 2 that are still back there, still filled up. So that tells you this is a situation where someone is focusing on the negative, and they need to remember that there are some positive aspects that maybe they haven't considered. So that's what that would mean if that came up in your reading. Now, the one in the middle, they make it extra simple. They've got keywords on some cards that say what the meaning is. You see victory down there at the bottom? Well, you knew that before you even read the words. You can tell by the picture this means victory. But you know, some cards, it helps to have the little words in it. And there are certain decks that have words like that on every one of the cards. It can help you along. These pictures are meant to spark your intuition. It's not about just following the steps along one by one. It's about getting your inner knowledge to come to the surface. Tarot cards have been around a long time, since the 1400s at least. Some people think all the way back to ancient Egypt. So people have been adding what they know about humanity to the cards over the years. They added to the pictures, they added to the things that they cover, the ways to use it. So it's a lot of human knowledge built up into a really nice portable little art museum that you can put in your pocket. There are decks that have instruction, but most of them have instruction booklets. They come in different languages. And so you can get one that suits you. When you get a deck, you should spend a little time making sure you understand what all the cards are and looking at them and getting the meaning straight. But then you can use them in a variety of ways. one of the things you can do with a tarot deck is you can work on the idea of who do I want for love? All these people are in my different tarot decks. You can spend your time thinking, would I want to go out with that person? Is that who I'm looking for? Or do I need to be like that person in order to attract the person I want? You can kind of play act it, put two cards next to one another and think about how would they interact. If I were with, you pick one card for you and pick one card for the other person. If I were with this person, how would we act? Kind of like paper dolls. It's always easier to know what you want and what to seek once you've got it clear in your mind. The other thing you can do with this is visualize your journey to the perfect person. You may already have a person in your life that is perfectly nice, but needs a little bit of, polishing up, and so you can study the people in the deck and think about how would I move us to a more evolved state, a more positive, a more fun state, whatever it is you're looking for. So we all want fortunes, though. We don't want to really sit around and play paper dolls. When you do fortunes with tarot, you call it reading the cards or doing a reading. It's very simple when you strip it to the essentials. Now, these are the essentials. First, you got to figure out what you want to ask. Come up with a question. You pick a pattern to lay your cards out. You use different patterns for different sorts of questions. If it's a simple question, it may just be one card. Say, what do I need to know right now? Boom. One card will do it. If it's a complex question, you'll need more cards. If you shuffle while you're thinking about your question, you deal the cards in the pattern that you chose, and then you combine your meanings to get the answer. Sounds very simple, but we will go through it step by step. First thing you want to do is get a place where you're not going to be too distracted, not going to be real bothered. You can make it romantic if you want a Valentine vibe to go, but that's not necessary. You just need to be comfortable and at ease. Now we'll go through the steps in a little more detail. The first one, figure out what you want to ask. Now it's important to pick a question that's not a yes/no question. Think of it as starting a conversation. You want something that gives the cards some room to give you detail. You don't want to ask, will I meet Mr. Right? You want to say, how is my past affecting my love life now? Or what can I do to bring true love into my life? It's like you're starting a conversation. You don't want to say, should I stay with my partner? Maybe you want to ask, what have I learned about my partner so far? Or how is our relationship evolving? Something like that. So the cards can give you more of an answer. You want to get calm and centered. Think of yourself as Glinda the Good Witch. Put that bubble of light around you so that you have a nice positive feeling, and go to town. Then you pick a pattern that suits your question. We call these patterns layouts because you lay the cards out on the table. Each card in each position has a meaning. Think of it like you're watching a baseball game. The person that stands behind the plate has a particular meaning of being the one who makes the rules. The one who's on the pitcher's mound is the one that does the throwing. The positions change. If the people walk to a different position, it doesn't change the people, but who they are and what you expect from them changes. So tarot cards are the same. The cards have their own meanings, but the positions have their own meanings as well, and you have to combine them to see what they mean. Each position in the layout covers part of your answer.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So when you pick your pattern and you lay it out,
Mhm.
similar to becoming acclimated to your cards,
Mhm.
do you always do the same layout?
No. For years, I did the same layout all the time. It was the first one I learned. I did it all the time. It worked very well. But some questions need more or less information. So another layout might work better. I'm going to be talking about a couple different layouts today, so you can kind of see how they work differently. The important thing about them is that you know what all the positions mean before you start putting the cards out, so that you kind of have in your head, this meaning, so this card will land on that meaning. So that as you shuffle, the cards will get in the right order to match up with what you laid out. Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Because I've seen people do tarot readers. A lot of times they do like they're shuffling and the card falls out.
Yep.
Like, is that something or just
Yes.
showmanship? Like, I don't know. Like,
No, it
Okay.
is something.
okay, if the card like slips out while you're shuffling, then
That
it's
means
trying.
that the deck is trying to give you a little extra info, and you
Okay.
should pay attention to what card pops out.
Okay.
It's like someone saying, oh, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So you should look at it, note what it is, and then put it back in if you're still shuffling. And when you start doing your reading, you add that meaning
Yeah,
to what's happening. Sometimes that will answer your whole question right there.
I like that. Oh, by the way, that makes
Yeah.
me like that resonates.
Yeah. You do want to make sure you know what all the positions are before you start, so that the cards will land on the right place. Right, so here's one. Is it true love?
Yes or no?
You would think so. All right. So this is the way the patterns work. You've got 1, 2, and 3. First card, second card, third card. First one is your feelings. Second one is the other person's feelings. And the third card is the outcome, whether it's true, lasting love or whether it's temporary. So what you want to do is combine the meaning of the cards in the position with the meaning of the card itself. It'll make more sense as we go along. So you're shuffling while you're thinking about your question. Did you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay. While you're shuffling, you want to open up your mind. You don't want to think, oh, I really hope it tells me so-and-so. You just want to be receptive to whatever might come. When you shuffle, you want to get everything really mixed up. You don't want to just pop, 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 and then lay it out. Give it time to really mix them up. You can cut the cards over and over and over again. Some people like doing it that way. You can put them all on the table face down and just swirl them around. You can spread the whole deck out and pick them out one by one. The only one I'd say don't do is a regular shuffle like you would do with playing cards, because it will bend the cards over time, and then they won't be as easy to use. So you mix them up while you're thinking about your question, opening your mind to what the universe has to tell you. Then you deal the cards into the layout you choose. Now, if you're swirling all these cards on the table, of course, some of them are going to be upside down. A lot of tarot readers say It's one meaning when it's right way up. It's a different meaning when it's upside down. It's either the opposite, or it's confused, or it's a warning, or something. It's something different from the regular meaning. I say, especially when you're starting out, all upright is just fine. There are 78 cards in the deck. 78 meanings is more than enough for most questions that people have. And make sure you know which way is upright on your cards. There are some of them that are tricky, like this one, where the guy's hanging upside down in the picture. So that's upright. And so that's one of the reasons why you want to look at your cards and figure it out. And you combine the meanings of the cards and the positions to get your answer. First thing you do is you look at them all. You get a feel for what's going on in the whole thing. Is it a lot of turmoil? Are the pictures all people fighting and arguing and things like that? Or do things look pretty positive? A lot of sunshine and flowers and that sort of thing in the pictures? Does it seem like there aren't many people in the pictures? Does it seem like there are lots of children, lots of animals? You just notice what's going on in general. It's kind of like when you go into a party and you kind of scan the room. You can see there's an argument going on over in the kitchen, so you go the other direction. This is like you're just kind of scanning the whole thing to see what's the general vibe here. What are they trying to tell me? So here's this me, you.
I apologize. What would be your intuition? So how do you use your intuition in a read, like you get a card? Where does that come from?
Well, each one of the cards has a variety of meanings. Let me show you an example. Sunshine. There's a card called the sun. This may mean sunshine. If you're asking about a vacation, it may be telling you beach, good weather, something like that. If you're asking about your general life, it may be saying things are looking good, it's upbeat, positive, good feedback. If you're asking about someone's health, giving good health. So the intuition comes in what aspect of the card's meaning is what's kicking in. Some are easier than others. The one I was saying was sneak thief. It takes a little bit of intuition to know whether it's saying, I need to be sneaky, or someone's being sneaky to me, or it's a situation where I can't see everything that's happening. That's where the intuition comes in.
Yeah, like when I looked at that card without knowing what it really meant, like it looked like to me, that you're bogged down, like he was carrying so much, like that would be kind of like, not going off of what the book says, but
Yeah.
I know how you feel about it.
Yeah, well, that works too. Basically, that's why you have to get to know your deck beforehand. You need to spend a little time getting to know what the cards are supposed to mean and what they say to you when you look at the picture. Because if you're doing the reading, they're going to be talking to you. So they're going to turn up as you respond to them. They're not going to come up with a meaning that the guy down the street believes. It's going to come up for you. It's a funny thing about tarot cards. They kind of have a way about them where they get their message across When you're shuffling, the way you know to stop shuffling is it feels like it's time to stop shuffling. Doesn't make any sense, but that's the way it works. You shuffle for a while, and all of a sudden you get the feeling of, okay, my answer is ready for me. It's kind of like when you're making something and you don't have to hear the timer go off. You can smell that, oh, it's time for me to take that out of the oven. You know, something in you knows when it's time. Tarot cards work that way. So here's one of our layouts. How are we doing? Card 1 is you. Card 2 is your partner. Now, you can see what's going on here. You're feeling like you're doing all the heavy lifting. All the work, all the stress, all the being concerned. Card 2, your partner's out larking about, not lifting the weights. We can see what the person doing this reading feels so far. This is the basic problem.
Just curious, did you pull this for yourself?
I looked for something that was very obvious, and it would be easy to read. Everybody's been in this situation where you know you're doing all the work and everybody else is just sitting around, watching TV or whatever. So that's the situation. Okay, now say you got this card. What do you think that would mean? There's going to be a big argument.
Conflict.
I'm out of here. It's done. Somebody's butt's being kicked, something like that. If it's the other card, well, maybe you talk it out. You have a few drinks, everybody feels a little better, you unwind, things get more positive. I'm voting for the second card. That's the way you do it. You combine the meaning. The first position means you, second position means your partner, and the third position means you two together. You can use that for any kind of couple of people. It doesn't have to be romantic. It can be, you and a friend that you're just like, let's see what they have to say about my friend. It can be.
But you have to know who the two people are. What if
you could probably do this by imagining the person who is out there for me.
Okay.
The only problem you get with that would be that that's a lot of hypotheticals going on, and the cards may just get kind of vague, maybe a little hard to read.
Yeah.
But if you have it very clear in your mind, I'm looking for someone, there's someone out there for me, and then do it, then I think you could get some decent reading off of that.
Quick question. You have two cards there. That doesn't mean you keep drawing cards until you get something you like. It's the first card.
I
was wondering.
She's like finding a therapist.
Make your future.
What you can do, if you're just like totally confused, put all the cards out, you've looked at them all, you've looked at the meanings in your little book, which is fine. You can just have the book right there with you, just reading, okay, this one means that, and that one means that. You can do that. If you're still confused or you feel like there's just not enough info in one of the positions, you can draw another card. Just make sure you kind of take a breath and say, okay, I need more help, I need more info. Let's draw another card. Well, you can draw one. If it's the outcome of a big reading, you can maybe draw two, but no more than that. If you're still confused at that point, either you're not having a good day for getting the message, or the cards are not doing their job of getting the message across. So just like if you were asking a friend, what should I do in this situation? And you keep talking and you just seem to be going around and around and around. Sometimes it's better to say, okay, let's talk about this another time after I have a little time to kind of clear my head. You can do that with the cards as well. As I said, you can draw one or two more cards for details, clarification. A lot of times, the card will hop out, like we were talking about before. You get the kind of creepy feeling after a while using tarot cards that they're trying to help you. I've had times when I pulled out a deck and it went flying out of my hands. And I was like, well, that one doesn't want me to use them today. And you go back and get another one. Sometimes they have their opinions on how to do things. All right, so we've talked about a little bit about, is it true love? I think my slides kind of went out of order there. But we've talked about you, me, and us. And is it true love? So how do you find this true love if you don't have this true love? And in case you're wondering, I will give handouts afterwards with all of these little details on it. So it'll be more obvious. So you're taking a deep breath. You look at this and you say, that's too many. That's too many. I can't possibly keep these all straight. Well, what you do is you just do it step by step. Do card one. Do the meaning of card one. Card two. Meaning of card two. You can put the cards all down first and look over them, as I said before. But then just when you're giving the meanings, you go through one at a time. Card one is you, your current situation. Card two is what you have to give to the relationship. Card three is what you need to do to find your true love. Now you notice it's not making any promises. Tarot cards don't promise to bring true love to you. They don't promise to make anything in your life happen. It's always your choice. It's always your action. It's always you making the life that you live. The cards will not force anything to happen. They won't force the world to be the way that they claim it should be. It's always in your hands. You always have the power. Card four is your true love, the one that you seek. Card five is what you can do to speed up the process. Card six, who or what can help. And card seven is the outcome. What will happen? This is supposed to be Cupid's arrow coming down. That's another thing for using your intuition. It doesn't really look like an arrow, but you can imagine it there.
So if you have this, like you found this,
Uh-huh.
and you wanted to do this thing, when you went through each one, is that what you do in order to set up the process? You're defining what each card means? Are you speaking it out loud, or is it a form of reading it? It's like a declaration that this is what they mean, because the cards aren't going to know that. Like if you opened it up or took it off the line, printed it out, and you
If it's clear in your mind, it'll be clear to the cards.
Okay.
So when you do this for someone else, do you tell them what the layout is going to be and what positions are?
Usually what I do is after I put the cards out in that position, in that pattern, then I say to them, okay, this first card means you and your current situation. And then I talk about that card and go along doing them one by one. It's a little too confusing to tell them what they all mean right from the get-go. Though I will look at the cards all together and say, I'm seeing a lot of hearts and flowers here, or I'm seeing a certain amount of strife and turmoil and effort needing to be put out yet, just so they know at the start, there's a general mood to it. And then I go through it step by step. And usually, partway through it, the other person starts picking up on it. And they start getting the intuition as well. They're like, yeah, where it says about who or what can help, that sounds like my sister. Maybe I should call my sister and say, who do you got in your neighborhood, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you turn over the cards one at a time as you do this reading, or you turn them all over?
Usually I turn them all over so they can spend a little time looking at the pictures. Some people like to be very mysterious and just do it one at a time, and tell you that whole thing. I find that most people are a little bit overwhelmed when they first get their cards read. So having them all spread out gives them a little bit of time to kind of look at all the pictures and gradually make a story out of them. Kind of like you do with, comics. You look at a comic strip and you got to put the pictures together to make the story. And that's what happens in a tarot reading. You have to have a little time to put it together in its own pattern. One thing to keep in mind, don't be scared of some of the meanings there. There are cards that have really scary pictures on them. There's one where a person's laying face down on the ground with 10 swords in their back. That's a bad day. That's a bad day. Thing is, because the cards are trying to get at your feelings that are under the surface, get at your knowledge that's under the surface, they're a little stronger than they would be if you were trying to be subtle. Death card does not usually mean death. Almost never means physical death. It usually means a transformation. A lot of death cards have butterflies on them because it's a transformation, like caterpillar to butterfly. It feels like death to the caterpillar. Caterpillar doesn't know it's going to be a butterfly. So it's one of those situations where something changes so drastically that it's not recognizable in advance, but after you get through it, you can look back and say, that's where I was going with that. So the devil card, a lot of people say you shouldn't do tarot cards because it's got the devil in it. Well, no, the devil is temptation. That's Cinnabons, chocolate, whatever your temptation is. That's what the devil card is. Today it's chocolate. So when these cards come up, just keep in mind, just take a breath. Some people get kind of freaked out when you see these things. Just take a breath and think about, okay, I'm being told this is a situation that is not all sweetness and light. There's something else going on. It may be a little rocky. It may take some effort, that kind of thing. The reason that tarot cards work is partially because they do have these negative images in there. It's not like the fortune cookies you get now that are all good fortunes. Sometimes you get bad fortune, but sometimes in life bad things happen. So if you're looking for an accurate fortune, then you need to have something that has the capability of saying something negative. You just have to think outside the box a little bit with these guys. Like the one in the middle. Okay, we've got these people in ragged clothes, in the snow, shut out from the church. So you may think, oh, this is destitution. Oh my God, I'm going to be so broke. It'll be terrible. I'm going to starve. I'm the little match girl. Oh my God, save me. That's not what's going on. It may be it's talking about somebody who works with the homeless. It may be talking about someone who feels like they've lost their connection with the church. It may be a little warning. You've been spending a lot recently, maybe cut it back a little bit before you get in trouble. But the cards are kind of hysterical in that sense. They give you a big warning so that you pay attention. That's what's going on with that sort of a card. All right, so let's say that other layout worked. You found your true love. It worked too good. You found two true loves. Which one do you choose? How nice to be in a situation of having to choose. Either or layout. First, you have one side, it's card one. That's the nature of your relationship with the first person. Card two is what will probably happen if you choose that person. Card three is the relationship with the other person. Card four is what will happen if you choose that person. And then card five is the hidden factor. You notice it doesn't say which one to choose. It's your choice. It's always your choice. It's always in your hands. The cards are not going to make you do anything you don't want to do. And if you do nothing at all, nothing will happen. So there you go.
Can you give an example of like the hidden factor?
Sure. I'll get to you in just a sec. It may be, there's one card called the marriage card that comes up. Maybe one of the people is already married. Yeah, that makes
Where's the marriage part?
Or it could end up.
that one with the two people holding the cups that I showed you before with the thing that looks like a flying lion up in the air.
Okay.
That's called the marriage card.
So it's not one of the major arcanas, it's a symbolism in the minors then, is the
Yes,
marriage? Okay.
Yeah, what she's talking about there, the majors are those ones that are the big concept cards, like, you know, the death and the devil and the lovers and all of that. The minors are the ones that are like playing cards, one through 10 and face cards in 4 different suits. The only thing that'll throw you off with that is that they give all their suits oddball names. So that's one of the reasons why you have to get to know your deck. So you know, is this swords, or is this a wand, or is this a coin, or what, you need to understand what each one of the cards are.
She still had a question.
Oh, yeah,
That's okay.
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just a quick, I mean, I believe in signs and messages.
Uh-huh.
So kind of my question is, so when you keep referring to cards, is this a form of communication from a higher power, you would say, or
Okay.
that type of thing? Is that where this is coming from?
There's a lot of discussion about that among people that use tarot cards. Some people think of it purely as you're getting in touch with knowledge you have within yourself that is not obvious to you. Again, a hidden factor perhaps. But most of the people that do tarot cards feel like they're tapping into something else. Either the collective unconscious that Jung talked about, the knowledge that we all share as humans on the planet, living approximately similar lives. Some people feel that it's coming from a higher place than that, from spiritual guidance. I spent a certain amount of time wondering about that, but I finally figured out that I really can't get an answer per se. I mean, I even asked the cards and they just seemed very coy about it. They just fanned themselves and said, "Oh, don't ask me." So I think that's a question that you have to answer for yourself, where you feel it's coming from. I do include the things like putting a bubble of light around yourself in advance so that you get yourself on kind of a positive spiritual energy beforehand. I think it's important for you to bring into it a sense of the universe is going to help me get a good answer here. You know, a good in the sense of a helpful answer. But who exactly is sending the messages? I'd love to know for sure, but so far I haven't figured it out. Thank you for that question. So I'm going to leave this up here for a bit. Look at all we covered already. You probably have you just feel like this is too much to remember. And I'm going to give you a handout. People at home, I'm going to send it to you. And the rest of the class, I'm going to leave time so you can come up, look at the cards up here, and kind of get familiar with what they're like. Ask me any questions you like, and hopefully keep my email address handy so that you can let me know when you try it out yourself. I'd love to see that. Are there any other questions before we go? Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of the history, you said it dates back to maybe the 30s. Is there an original tarot card deck that is like considered the,
There
from
is
which
one.
or
Well, the oldest one that we know of so far. It was designed for a wedding in Italy in mid-1400s. Designed purely as a gambling game. And over time, that deck was copied for other people playing the gambling games. It had a series of pictures, and if you knew the things that an educated person of that time would know, you knew what order the pictures would be in, because this was considered more important than that, and that was more important than that. And so they used it kind of like trump cards to win tricks in a gambling game. And people started noticing, oh, that card looks like so-and-so. And then they made connections between the person and the cards. And over time, that became telling fortunes by which cards looked like different people. And the cards got taken up by people doing metaphysical study. And they went into all kinds of things about the symbolism of the different images and everything. And basically, it's come full circle. It's come back around to being a fun thing again. Now it's considered by most people as an entertainment. Some people take it very seriously, but it's still an entertainment. So that's kind of the way I look at it. It's entertaining, but there's no reason your entertainment can't give you some information as well. So,
and a couple going along with that, like let's say you go, I know there's a tarot card reader, I don't know, 50 at least, I'm saying, is there sort of a standard deck that the professional tarot card reader uses, or they each have their own?
there is one that's extremely popular, this one, modern ones.
Okay.
It's usually called Rider-Waite, even though the artist name is Smith, so some people call it the Smith Rider-Waite, give her the credit she's due. That one's kind of become what people think of when they think of tarot cards. But the older ones are quite different from that. They still have the series of images on half of the deck, but the other half are just like playing cards, in that they have, the symbols, the number of symbols on each card. So they look a little different.
Can you talk about those numbered cards, how they're used along with the pattern? I've sort of forgotten, it was a million years ago, I remember tarot cards.
All of the cards work the same way within the layout. If the card turns up, it has the meaning of the position it's in and the meaning of the card, and each card has a meaning.
But if it's a number?
If it's a numbered card, it's still got a meaning of its own. There are all kinds of ways you can kind of help yourself remember what they are. Things like, the 1 cards are usually the start of something. The 2 cards are when the next ingredient comes into the mix. The 3 cards are when things start getting complicated. The 4 cards are when things stabilize. It goes on like that. So you can kind of keep track of what the different meanings are that way. But a lot of times people just go by the pictures. That's why I recommend, if you're going to do a reading now, you go with a deck that has a picture on every card. Let's see. Give you an example. Say you looked at, let's see. Okay, here's one. This is called the 6 of Swords. Now, if you just saw 6 swords on a card, you wouldn't know what it meant necessarily. But you see this picture, and it's people in a boat. It looks kind of precarious because they have the 6 swords balancing on the edge of the boat. They look like maybe they're leaving somewhere. Gives you the meaning of travel and escape from a situation, maybe getting away from something bad to something you're more hopeful about, that kind of thing. And you can get all that just from the meaning. Just from the picture. You don't have to memorize the meaning. And part of what you do when you lay the cards out is you see whether there are stories. You look and see, are the people in this card looking at the people in the next card? Maybe that's a connection between the people, that kind of thing. Tell stories about it. It's actually been used by a lot of writers for storytelling to help them along when they're stuck on a story. They'll start throwing cards out, start telling stories about the people in the cards, and it helps them get through writer's block.
I was gonna say, this is kind of crazy, but every night when I walk my dog, I pull up YouTube and there's several people that do tarot readings every single day. So the one I listen to, she's like Sweet Soul Tarot, and she's a young girl, but she does for Pisces. So she's like all my Pisceanos, like all my, and she has several decks. Because she'll say, today I'm using my, so she just like, whichever deck she feels, she wants to use that day. And I will say, like, who knows, there's thousands of people listening to it. There's always, like, it can resonate. She doesn't know me, she's doing this reading, she's telling this story, but you can always put yourself in most every. You know what I mean? It's kind of open to interpretation, I guess is what I mean. And she'll say, if this does not resonate with you, then this reading's not for you today, but it usually resonates.
One of the things about when you're doing readings, sometimes you'll feel like, okay, I've read all these meanings, I know what the positions mean, and you've combined them, and you sit there and you say, well, I just feel that's wrong. I just feel that is just bull. And that's okay. That feeling is your actual fortune. The cards are, for whatever reason, not talking to you today. The important thing is you keep in mind that the procedure is there to help you come up with an answer. Maybe the cards will come up with the answer. Maybe you'll come up with the answer in opposition to the cards. But usually a good card reader will become specific enough that you don't feel like you're trying to put yourself into the answer. I had a reading one time where someone told me, well, you need to go to this particular address in Baltimore.
Jeez.
And I was like, okay. So I went up to Baltimore and went to this particular address. And looking at this building that, isn't even open, and I'm thinking, why am I looking at this? And I stepped back, and there was a tarot card on the sidewalk. And I looked down, and it was one that answered the question that I had, and I was like, okay, all right, maybe they want to give me an answer one way or another, they just wanted me to try to get it.
Saved you some gas there, I mean.
Yeah, that's more.
Did you keep the card? Did you take the card with you?
No, actually, what I did was I took it to the person who really did.
Oh, that is really funny, that's
Yeah,
great.
Barbara,
That's a great story.
They put the card
that's
in.
amazing.
So that was,
No, I'm sure she didn't, because she lived in Easton, and,
That's crazy.
that's actually a cold reading along with it to get that specificity. So I wanted to let you know, two things, this isn't my question, but so you pulled that card, so I got trepidation, so I don't know if that means anything to you. But I looked up the word, because I had to figure out how to spell it first. And it has to do with like forcefulness, anger, so I don't know if that means anything to you, because you were the one that pulled the card.
okay.
But I was curious, where in Easton can you get cards? Where would you go to get tarot?
Well, the Tammy School, yeah.
Do you
Tammy
sell
School
cards?
things, no, I don't.
Okay, so that would be a good
Things
for
down on 50.
operation then.
She has some.
Does she?
Yeah.
Have you bought
Say
from
again.
there? Have you bought some from her there?
Yes.
Okay.
Tammy School things down on 50 on the way to Cambridge, just below track.
Where that VW bus is.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
Hippy dippy, the
Yeah.
VW bus there.
There's flowers on it.
Oh, the hippie place, yes.
Two quick questions. One is, no matter what deck, are the suits or whatever always gonna be the same, like swords and wands and this?
They sometimes have different
Okay.
suits, different names for the suits, but basically they have 4 basic ideas. There's one that has to do with strife and thought, because usually people's minds are the first thing to go into turmoil over things. Those are the swords. There are cups that have to do with love, affection, things having to do with water, and motion. There's wands that have to do with business and like social activity, things growing, and pentacles or coins that has to do with wealth and things that are very earthy, that, the physical body, the land that you stand on, that kind of thing. It's kind of like the old idea of the elements, earth, air, fire, and water. And they'll come up with different names for the different suits to express that. Yeah.
I'm curious, do you feel that the cards will choose us? So say we go over there, like this happened with animals for me, like I feel like they choose me, and also books, when I go to a bookstore, the book chooses me.
You'll know when you pick up one that it has possibilities. One thing you want to do when you're picking a deck is make sure it feels good in your hand. It's nearly impossible to shuffle these
Yeah.
things any other way than it's spreading them out on a very big table. This one, a lot of women like using this one because it's a little bit smaller and very, very easy to manipulate. You want to look at art that resonates with you, that you feel like you like looking at it, you like that particular art style. You want to just be sure that you feel there is a sense of, yeah, I can live with this in my house. This will do good with me, because then it'll respond for you. Other places you can get cards are online. There are places like Tarot Garden or US Games or Llewellyn. They're people that concentrate on selling tarot decks. And just do a search, you can find lots of places. And
Another quick question based on what she said before, is there any connection between tarot and astrology? Like, does that have any impact on the reading?
there have been associations made between the cards. Certain ones are thought to be, like Aquarian cards or Leo cards or whatever. You don't have to know astrology to do a reading. And like you don't have to know tarot to do astrology. There are some people out there in the world that would like it if there were a unified field theory of everything metaphysical. So everything has been made into correspondences. They've made correspondences between each of the cards and different plants, different animals, different constellations. So it goes along with that. So,
Is there, like a book that you recommend, or is there like a that is good for going deeper than like the book that comes with the cards?
there are so many of them that I really like, so I find it difficult to recommend just one. I do have a few up here that I can show you that come with the deck and the book. A lot of times when people are starting out in particular, they like that combination. There's Barbara Moore. Shoot, I'm forgetting Lewis's first name. I'll get back to you on that. Drawing a blank on titles. So you want to come up and look at it? Yeah.
I'm interested in whether there's ever been any connection made with the Asian and Chinese, because you'll have the snake paper gold year, for the birth years, and so you have an emotion, you have an earth element, you have variety of it. It almost sounds like all of this could be merged together.
There are decks that use the Asian sort of focus, either just for the art or some of them that are more detailed that use those kind of considerations. I've got one that's
Numerology, where
Yes.
people won't buy a house if the
Yeah.
number is a certain number,
Yeah.
even today.
yeah, definitely. There's one that's a Japanese deck that the different suits are different symbols that mean something in Japanese astrology, and all of the characters are like Japanese gods and goddesses or spirits or whatever. And people have made decks on just about anything you can imagine. You can have one that has your favorite artist on all the cards. You could have one that has nothing but happy stuff. Some people really don't want to have that negative stuff, so they have ones that are all happy. You can have animals on each one, baseball. They make correspondences between each of the cards and things in baseball. Gosh, I can't even think. I've got almost 600 decks now, and they're all different. They're completely different subjects. So take a look. I brought a few so you can see.
Do you physically use each one of the 600? Like when you get it, it becomes your deck of the moment?
No, what I usually do is I spend a little time sitting with it, let me decide whether it's going to be a collection deck or a using deck.
Okay.
And some are much better for using than others, because sometimes you get an artist that just decides they've got their own vision of the world, and they're, everything on the deck is all creepy little dolls or something. I don't want to look at that, so,
So
some of
you're
them.
more of a collection than it would be a use. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. So crowdfunding, I don't know if you've seen that, but artists will do their tarot decks and they sell them through like the Generator Revenue to get them printed.
Yeah.
But I've seen them on that. It's a unique place to find tarot.
Yeah, that's a good place for if you want really a upcoming artists.
Now they're gonna have
Oh,
LGBT. They're gonna have LGBT art.
Close.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.